Good morning, everyone. I am so sorry we were delayed once again. We had one recorded and then didn't come out before Dazar'alor came out, and so our stuff was irrelevant. Anyways, here we are, finally being productive for the podcast that we started.
I mean, I think it was kind of good that we did delay it because it gave me a chance to actually go into Dazar'alor and do all that.
So how'd you enjoy it?
I enjoyed it a lot. I like it a lot better than Uldir. It works better thematically because it's like in Uldir, like a lot of the bosses just kind of didn't really. So okay, the way that they do a lot of raids and the way that they've done them in the past is like you generally know somewhat who most of the bosses are. For example, like in Emerald Nightmare, you knew who like a lot of the people in there were, like Ilgan off the side and stuff like that. But like you still, like there was a theme and you still knew who they were to an extent. But with Uldir, they had like like Fetid Devourer and like shit like that. I mean, they had cool lore reasons for having the bosses in Uldir. It's just that they didn't really. I don't know. It didn't really fit to me. It felt kind of out of place. Like, yeah, you went back in and killed Zul, and you basically killed Gahoon, but like a lot of them, and you killed Mithrax too. Like Mithrax, you saw in the story. Gahoon, you heard about in the story. Zul, he was in the storyline, but like stuff like Fetid, stuff like Vectis. Vectis is cool. I did like him. He so he actually was made reference to the Blood Plague. That was like, you know, the big epidemic that happened in WoW, and they used like the epidemiologists like studied it.
Yeah.
So like what Vectis was a sample of Gahoon's blood combined with that plague.
So I think you're getting a little bit off topic.
So yeah, sorry, I did kind of space out there. Okay, so
I mean, that is still really cool.
the theme of Dazar'alor, or Battle for Dazar'alor, is basically you have the Alliance invading the Zandalori capital. So you're seeing different aspects of like the battle. You're fighting against either the invading army or you're fighting against the defenders.
So should we issue a spoiler alert here?
Yeah, because LFR is not going to be out till next week.
So spoiler alert.
So spoiler alert.
Everyone.
Now, granted, first three bosses are going to be in LFR. So the first boss you have to deal with is Champion of Light. Now this is a paladin. And for the Alliance coming in, this is a Zandalori paladin, which is cool because that kind of shows you, yes, the Zandalori actually can play paladin class when they get released, and I think they're going to be released when after the last LFR is released, because in 8.1.5, because they want the quests that come out, they want everybody to be able to do them. And it's going to involve you having to actually like do the raid. So when you do that, you're gonna access those quests. They don't want it to be like only the top guild is going to unlock this new race. They want everybody to be able to do it. All right. So Champion of Light is a Dark Iron Dwarf if you are Horde, and it is a Zandalori Paladin or Zandalori Prelate actually is what they're called if you're Alliance. And then they do switch around the second and third boss depending upon what your faction is, but they're still essentially fighting the same thing. So the second boss for the Horde is Grong, and he is a giant gorilla. He was a hyper intelligent gorilla.
Is he a play on who I think he is?
Grodd?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I think he is actually. I think he's a play on like Grodd, but he's also a play on like King Kong. Because, so when you fight him, like, okay, so the Alliance actually does, as part of their, like, war campaign quest, they actually interact with him, and you find out, oh, so he's going to be part of the raid. Well, he starts off as this really smart gorilla, and then they do, like, this strength enhancer to him. But when they do it to him, it lowers his intelligence, and it makes him lose his intelligence, makes him just a rampaging beast.
Aw, snap.
So when you find this Horde, and you kill him, so spoiler, once somebody appears, and it's like, this gorilla could be of use to us. This beast could be of use to us. And so he raises him from the dead.
You showed me that. That looked so
So
cool.
when the Horde fights him, he's Grong the Gorilla Lord. When the Alliance fights him, he's Grong the Revenant. And he's this undead gorilla. He has similar abilities. Like, they're basically the same abilities, but just, I think, different schools of magic that you have to watch out for. So that's kind of an interesting fight to deal with.
You gonna clear your throat after every sentence?
Yeah, sorry, my throat's kind of scratchy right now. So
Drink your tea.
Drink some more of my tea and get my throat unscratchy.
So I want to know what you guys are sipping on. If you're sipping on anything, we're sipping on some tea. And take a drink for every time I say sipping, apparently.
I've got the apple cinnamon. It's really good.
I think I have, pu'er mixed with lemon zinger.
Oh, that sounds really good.
You want to try it?
Not right now. Anyways, the next boss up, so this is the second boss if you're Alliance, and the third boss if you're Horde, is the Jadefire Masters. And this is a monk-mage combo.
I like that word. Jadefire.
Jadefire? Yeah. Yeah, so basically you fight them, and at the end of the fight, they turn into dragons, which is really cool.
That is cool.
Now, I will say that in normal, if you're a Mythic Guild Raider, like, you're gonna just, like, burn through these first couple of bosses. Like, you're just gonna destroy them.
So, since you got off topic a bit ago, I want to get off topic for just 2 seconds. Speaking of dragons, the freaking Tauren guy in Pandaria, his dragon form was so cool.
Oh, okay, so the off-topic nature here is that Pizza and I are leveling up. Pizza's leveling up a Horde Demon Hunter, and I'm leveling up my Mistweaver Monk. So we're questing a High Mountain right now. So
yeah, it was High Mountain, not
High
Pandaria.
Mountain.
I'm stupid.
And the Ebonhorn quest line, he's actually, when he gets, spoiler, he gets revealed as a Black Drake.
He's so pretty. So cool.
So, spoiler for you, actually.
For me?
Yeah, later on, like, when you're talking to him and, like, doing quests with him, he says, sorry, I need to go deal with family matters. Now, his family's Raytheon. Who is basically a spawn of Deathwing, basically, who is the...
Wait, so is Ebonhorn bad?
No, Ebonhorn's very good. Ebonhorn is very, very noble Black Drake. So Ebonhorn was basically affiliated with the High Mountain Tauren before Deathwing got corrupted.
It's just like, I don't know, like, his dragon form was really pretty. You brought up dragons, I wanted to bring that up.
So
anyway.
they do turn into dragons, and what's cool is that, like, the mage turns into a phoenix, more of a phoenix than a dragon. And then the monk turns into, like, Yulon, the green, like, Chinese-looking dragon.
What is the difference between a phoenix and a dragon? Y'all have to forgive me for being slow.
A phoenix is
I'm
more
sick.
a phoenix is more like a bird than that. Like, so the cloud serpent dragons?
Are they related? Like the two people?
The two people? No, they're like...
Okay, that was my point of confusion. Like, I was sitting here wondering why one would turn into a dragon.
No, they're not blood related. It's just that mages, so fire mages actually, when they had their artifact weapon, they had, like, phoenix flames. The phoenix has always been associated with, like, mages because Kael'thas, when you fight him in the Eye, you fight that phoenix and you get the mount. So...
Y'all have to forgive me. I'm sick right now.
So, up next is Opulence, Conclave, and Rastakhan.
Are they all, like, in the same area?
So
Why did you say them all at once?
So the first three bosses, the way that they divide the wings is they divide them, like...
Oh, so you're going by wing. Okay.
Yeah, so LFR, like, you do so many bosses, boom, you get that wing completed.
I was just confused why you said all three of them.
Yeah, so basically, the way that they'll separate in LFR is you do 3 bosses per wing.
Opulence is a cool word. What does that mean?
I think it means, like, greed.
Oh, is he the... Okay.
Yeah. So, Opulence is really cool. So, for Horde, you walk in to Rastakhan's throne room. Like, that's not the one that's at the top of the pyramid. You walk into, like, his little, like, hidden sanctuary throne, like, his safety barracks, basically. And you walk in there, and I'm not going to spoil what position you find him in. Because, like, that's a big spoiler giveaway. But, so, you talk to, I think it's Talanji, and say, hey, what happened with all this? And so, when somebody's sitting on his throne, which is the cool part.
But, I mean, they've released the cinematic on
Yeah.
like YouTube
Okay.
and
So
stuff.
basically, to kind of spoil it, you go in there and Rastakhan is dead.
Yeah.
And Talanji is standing over his corpse.
Like, I would, in any other situation, be like, okay, cool, don't spoil it, whatever. But it's been released on YouTube. It's probably on Wowhead's Twitter. Like,
yeah, it is. Now that I think about it. So basically, you walk in and you see Rastakhan laying on the ground, and you're like, what happened? So this is as Horde. You ask what happened. And you get sent back in time, basically, and you play as Alliance. So you now have the Alliance racials.
That is really cool. I really like how they, like, people are dogging on BFA so much, but you've got to admit that as a dungeon, or a raid, sorry, that is really cool.
Okay, this was a cool concept, except I hate the fact that I had to become a Night Elf.
Oh my god.
No, it's nothing wrong with, like, the Alliance or anything. It's just that, like, my racial as a Blood Elf is Arcane Torrent. It means I can consume a magic effects in an AoE ring. I can't do that if I'm playing as Night Elf.
Shadow Meld is freaking cool, okay?
It is cool, but it does me no good.
Okay, whatever. Look, man, that thing is a PvP lifesaver.
It's a PvP lifesaver, but in PvE, like, it works as, like, kind of a feign death.
I guess, like, I'm so tired of, like, going on groups and seeing Alliance hate. Like, I am Horde all the way through, but I don't get the hate.
Yeah, I don't either. So anyways, the bosses. So Opulence is basically Alliance players. If you remember during your quest line before the raid, to where you went inside and you stole back this scepter. It was in the throne room, and you went through this, like, little treasure room with traps and everything like that, and finally you see this big, like, pile of gold manifest into, like, a being, and it attacked you, so you had to just haul ass out of there.
I do have a Dazar'alor question.
What's up?
The reason you flash back to Alliance is because, like, the Alliance in-game had already gone and attacked, right?
So, yeah, the way that this works is that, basically, you're flashing back to Alliance because you're not going to kill Rastakhan as Horde. He's your ally.
And same, like, if you're Alliance, what are you going to do? Attack your Jaina?
Yeah, so actually, and that's actually what happens is later on, you actually fight them as Horde if you're Alliance.
I was confused because, like, I guess I just don't understand the flash, like, the flashing back. Like, is it because the Alliance had already gone and attacked, so that's why you keep flashing back, or? I
think it's just, like, you're seeing it from, as if you were the Alliance, you're seeing it from that perspective. So you're seeing both sides of the raid with this.
Sorry, that was a dumb question.
Oh, no, you're good. So basically, this was actually, when we were raiding, was the first time we actually had a wipe. It was on Opulence. So this is when it really started to get, like, the difficulty really got noticeable. So Opulence is a really, really cool fight.
He, like, from what I saw, he is a cool-ass boss.
So what you have to do with your raid is you have to separate out your raid into two groups. And there's two hallways. But if you... Okay, so the room is set up like you have two hallways going around, and then you have straight... You could walk straight down to Opulence, but he's buffed. Like 200%. Like, he does high damage. Like,
is he the one
hard.
that hit a little bit too hard, or is that another boss?
That was another boss.
Okay.
Like, he... No, Grong hits hard. I'll say that. He does hit hard.
Well, I mean, as far as who was overtuned.
Oh, no, I'll get to that one. But Opulence... So you go down the hallway, and you split up your raid, and you go through these traps, and you fight this, like, stone golem thing. And on both sides. You fight... Well, each side fights them. And when you get to, like, a certain hallway, there's these little gems. And basically, one gem is for tanks. And then there's, like, two or three gems, I think, for healers.
Like a crystal type gem?
Yeah, like crystals. Like, they're actual, like, crystals. You click on them, and you get this buff. And, like, they're...
So there's a benefit to going down the two hallways so that you actually get a buff to be able to fight him,
you have
right?
to go... No, you have to go through the hallways. If you
don't...
don't...
No. I mean, instead of going straight down the middle, like, there's a benefit to splitting up and going down the
Well, there's a benefit, but, like, if you just went straight down, the boss himself would do like 200% increased damage, but you have to clear out the hallways to make him not do 200%. So, gems aside.
Literally what I just said. You know what? I'm really tired of saying something and then you just repeating it right back to me.
Sorry about that. So gems aside, like, he has a buff if you don't kill those guys. Like, you get the gems. The gems give you unique abilities during the fight. So, the one that I picked, for example, was an opal. And it made it to where... It made it to where, for every target I hit, I did an increased amount of damage. Like, and so it's got AoE stuff in the fight. So that he spawns these ads under him, and they have to die, like, ASAP. And so, as a demon hunter, I'm a cleave class. That's what I do, man. I happen to be DPSing this. So I was, as soon as it would come up, bam, I pop my I-beam and just, like, go to town on them.
Yeah, sorry. I forget that, like,
I-beam is the big deal, is the big dick DPS for Havoc, yeah.
Yeah, like, I'm so used to Vengeance that, like, when someone says I-beam, I'm like, wait, what?
So, basically, when they popped up, I hit my I-beam and just annihilated them. And it just, like, my damage will keep ramping up. And then there's another buff that, like, makes the boss take increased damage. And then another one that gives, like, increased crit chance. Like, there's so many different ways to do this fight that, like, you look at your raid composition, you say, hey, who's taking what gems? And, like, this is going to be hell for LFR. Because people are just going to click on random shit.
Do you have any YouTubers or anything that you would suggest people watch if they want to do the fight? That, like, if, say, people do go into LFR so they don't completely fuck it up, you know?
I mean, they're definitely going to put, like, the rubber baby buggy bumpers on for LFR, the safety bars. Okay, fine,
then people who were raiding with a guild for the first
time. So, Hazelnutty Games actually does a lot of, like, raid videos and Fat Boss TV as well.
I've seen come up in my suggestions a few times. When I find it, I'll link it below. Make a note for me to do that. Okay. Like, of Opulence in particular.
Mm-hmm. Because I watched them on your channel.
No. Like, I'll get random, like, World of Warcraft stuff, because I'll watch World of Warcraft stuff, too.
But I know what you're talking about.
Like, a guide came out, because apparently a lot of people are having trouble with Opulence.
Yeah, no, I can imagine so. Like, had we not been, like, so well geared, like, Opulence would have beat the hell out of us. Like, he was tough.
Like, I'm sure it'd be easy to find on your own, but in case you don't want to do the labor by yourself.
Now, something to consider, too, is that might have been a heroic guide.
I don't remember, but I'm sure it's still in my, like, no, it wasn't really, it wasn't in the suggestion, it came up in my notifications.
Oh, okay.
So, it's not like it just came up my suggestions, I saw it, no, it actually came to my notifications, and that's why it stood out to me.
Okay. So, we downed Opulence, and so I was really happy. I think I bonus rolled the glaive.
That was the cutest happy dance.
So, yeah. Like, now granted, it wasn't really much of an upgrade, but it was a really cool transmog piece.
I remember you getting really excited about
that.
Yeah,
it looks cool as hell. Alright. So, the next boss you go up to is Conclave. And it's basically... So, on normal, it's... So, what it is it's different aspects of the Loa. So you actually fight, like, this human avatar of Loa.
The Loa being
the wild gods, basically, of the who they revere.
I was trying to think of, like, what they were... Because I almost said nature gods, but wouldn't be completely inaccurate.
So, in normal, you fight, like, I think, Paku, Kimball, Gonk. Like, he's a raptor Loa.
Gonk.
Yeah, his name's Gonk. There's like four you fight in there, and then if you're on heroic, you fight Kragwa's like avatar.
So do you fight Gonk?
So, no. So what's really cool?
So you don't bang the Gonk?
Shut up. So when you deal with these guys, so they only come down 2 at a time. And so you don't want to split your damage, because as soon as you kill one, the one that's up has a buff. Like, he's buffed. He gets, like, a damage increase. Like, for everyone you kill, like, say... So the one we left was actually Avatar of Gonk. He was the last one we killed. And,
wait, you just said that you didn't fight him.
We didn't fight Gonk himself. We fought his avatar.
Well, that's what I meant, dude. You know what I mean. Come on.
So you fight these human, like, they're basically priests. They're priests who harness the power of these Loa. So
You ruined my joke.
so in Heroic you get Cragwall added, and then I think in Mythic you get Bwonsamdi. You actually have to fight Bwonsamdi.
Oh yeah, because he is a wild god, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a Loa, so he's definitely a wild god.
Yeah, he's a Loa of death. I'm stupid.
But no, like this one we actually did like have a couple like crash and burns on it, but it was just like kind of figuring out the rhythm of the fight, and there was a certain way that you wanted to kill them, like a certain way that you wanted to like I guess a certain order. Certain order you wanted to kill them because they like I said the buffs, but basically like the Paku the pterodactyl would come down and do like this wind thing, and if you weren't in it, you were gonna die. Like
wait, you had to be in his thing to not die?
Yeah, so like if you're outside the winds, like it was a safe zone. You had to be like under the boss because it was a safe zone. If you're outside, you took a lot of damage, and then like one of them like hexed you, like turned you into little raptors, and then like Gonk actually summoned raptors. You had to kill the raptors because they fixated on people. And then Kimball would just leap around, and I hated that one. Because he would just like, especially when we were in like the wind phase, he would just nuke everybody, and it sucked. So we had to like get our bearings on this fight. It was tough, but it's definitely one of the ones, especially for like melee agility classes. Your best in slot trinket's gonna be on this boss. Like it is a really, really, really cool trinket. Like I was looking at first, I was like, is that an upgrade? And I started to look over there, I was like, you know what? That's a big upgrade. It does a nice effect, too, if you're standing behind a boss, which, as a melee DPS, you should be. Alright, and then, you pour through some more of the trash, and, like I said, from Horde perspective, you're still fighting as an Alliance person. So you still have the Alliance racials. And you get to Rastakhan. And this is a cool fight. Like, we really had to focus on this fight because there are like 4 phases. So like you had to know what was going on in each phase, and it was really complicated.
I can imagine.
But like once you had it down, it was really cool. Like it took us a couple times to really figure out what we were doing, but once we did, he was the last boss we fought the first night. And so you actually do fight Bwonsamdi in this fight too, which is really cool.
But didn't you fight him in the last one?
So you fight him in the last one if only if you're on Mythic. And then you fight him in the Rastakhan fight. Now you don't actually kill him because he just like he kind of dips away for his own safety.
He does his thing,
saving his own ass. But like you deal with like so you have players that are in the living realm, and you have players in the dead realm.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's really cool because like the things you do in the dead realm like affect the living realm, and vice versa. So like you have to put down these little like beacons in the living realm on a certain area, so that people in the dead realm can run over them and like drop their debuffs.
That reminds me of Full Metal Alchemist for some reason.
But like it's really, really cool because like you actually do fight Bwonsamdi and then Rastakhan.
That is really cool.
And like there's these 2 ads, like his guards, you have to fight them first, and then they get, when you go into the dead realm, they actually get brought back to life in the dead realm. So you have to kill them at the same time. So it's a really cool fight. And
Sounds like a pain in the ass.
Yeah, at first it was. Like it was confusing because we were trying to figure out
the flow of things.
The flow of things, like when to like maybe steady DPS, and that's an important thing to do in raiding too. Is that like a lot of people, especially like LFR players, want to just like zerg everything, and it's like you
zerg,
like just go in and just like hit it as hard as you can, as fast as you can.
It's not always what you need to do. I
guess. No, because like a lot of times you need to throttle your DPS. Say that there's like a thing that's gonna happen, like another phase, when a boss hits a certain percentage, something else is gonna happen. So.
Oh, kind of like the High Lord fight.
Yeah, actually, exactly. So basically, you have different things that are gonna happen at different parts of the fight. So say, like, I think when Rastakhan got, like, 60%, he went to the Dead Realm. So you had to make sure that certain things were done before he got to that percentage, otherwise it was, it was going to hurt. And then, like, always, the way that these fights work now is, like, you want to down the ads before you go back to the bosses.
I have another comparison, but I can't remember what it's from, where the floor falls out. Like, you gotta...
Like Zelda.
No. You gotta get the boss to, like, a certain percentage, so that way, like, whenever the floor falls out, like, she's not too powerful, because, like, you fight her somewhere, like, when the floor falls out, too.
Oh, yeah! The Avatar. That was Avatar Sargeras.
Was it?
Yeah, in Antorus. Or no, Tomb of Sargeras. The guy that, like, he was...
Why do I remember that? Because I didn't do that.
Because you watched me do that one so many times.
But, like, that was another comparison that I had.
Yeah,
I could have sworn I was thinking of a woman. What am I thinking of? I don't think
there was a maiden in there. There was a big stone maiden in there, and then maybe what you're thinking of.
That is what I'm thinking of.
She was the boss before him.
She is okay, yeah.
Yeah, she was the boss before him. But yeah, no, I get what you're saying. So the next boss, we came back the next day, and we fought Mechatork. And Mechatork, so this...
Is that the little gnome?
Yeah, it's a gnome in, like, the body armor thing.
I like him.
So for Horde players, you're now finally back to being Horde players. And so Alliance players are now going to be turned into Horde. So you'll get the Horde racials, and the Horde goes back to what they were.
Yeah, because you're now fighting an Alliance.
You're fighting your group, basically.
Because Mechatork works with Jaina.
Yep. Mechatork is the gnome faction leader.
Which, if you've seen the cinematic, spoiler alert if you haven't, but if you've seen the cinematic, he's the one who blows up the Horde ships.
No, I actually haven't done the Alliance quest leading up to the raid, so I was going to do those later on tonight. To kind of, I'm sure that's where you set the charges and everything like that. So, basically, Mechatork was a cool fight.
I was so scared that he died in the cinematic, like...
So, spoiler here, he doesn't die. He, like, cryogenically freezes himself as, like, a self-preservation method.
Well, no, I mean, whenever, I think it was, like, what was it, a cannon or something that hit him? A cannonball hit him?
A cannonball hit the deck.
And, I thought it killed him at first, and I was like, oh no.
So, you fight him, and he's a really, really fun boss. So, you basically have these people that they have to get out of line of sight, otherwise they'll debuff the entire raid and it hurts. Like, in Heroic, it's probably going to be, like, a damn near wipe. I mean, you can survive, like, 1 or 2 on normal and it not, like, be the end of the world. But, like, I want to say our normal kill wasn't the cleanest, but we still got it. That's what's important. First kill, we still got it. So, there's a lot of coordination that goes on in this one. And this is why I'm really worried for things like LFR, because so what he does in normal is he shrinks players down. He shrinks a couple players down. And there's these, like, robots that are around that you have to jump inside the robots when you're shrunk. And it's a really cool, and, like, the other like, only the people, so in normal everyone can see your, like, what sequence you have to put in. You have to put in the correct sequence 3 times, and then any button will detonate the robot. So everyone can see what your sequence is above your head in normal. But in Heroic, only the other people in the robots can see it.
Oh, no.
And what sucks is when you're shrunk, if someone who is not shrunk walks over you, it can kill you.
Oh my god.
And then, like, what's even worse...
Be careful of your people.
Yeah, and, like, you have to let them move out first. So then in Heroic, they throw an extra little wrench into that. One of the players becomes gigantic.
No.
And what happens is if he steps on a normal sized player, it can actually hurt them.
Oh no.
So it was a really, really neat fight.
So how is the giant supposed to see the really tiny?
So basically the way that you do it is that you have the people that are small run out. Like, you don't, like, when it's called at DBMs, like, hey, these people are shrunk. Don't move. Like, let them go to where they need to be first, and then you move. I'm pretty sure the giant player is going to be, like, stationary. I don't think that they're going to move very much. If they do, everyone's going to clear out. Like, you're going to be able to see them. Like, everyone's going to be able to clear out away from them.
So you better be paying attention or else you're going to get stepped on.
Yeah, there's a lot of coordination going on in this fight.
Oh my god, LFR is going to be hell.
Yeah, but like I said, in Heroic, inside the robots, only the other people inside the robots can even see your sequence.
Shit, man. And, like, the only experience with Dazar'alor that I'm going to get right now is LFR.
Maybe.
Fuck.
Maybe.
I gotta get my my Horty up.
So now going into the next fight, and this is the one that like I was pissed off about. Like, and even Blizzard themselves admitted that this fight was overtuned. Like for normal mode, this was overtuned, like massively overtuned. Like
there's no reason it should have been as hard as it was.
The people, like, there were Mythic Raiders having like multiple wipes on this boss, like getting their asses kicked, and it's like they shouldn't have. Like, you shouldn't have to outgear the content to be able to get the gear.
Yeah.
Because every one of us, I want to say, was well above 385, and the raid drops base level 385 in normal. I mean, I got happy on Mechatork. I think I got 400 gloves. I was really excited about that.
Why don't they take the time before raids drop to, you know...
You know, it's funny. They actually do that. They test them on the PTR, but I think this may have been one of the ones that they didn't test. Or if they did... Oh, no, they did test it. And it was so bugged on the PTR that they couldn't get anything accomplished.
Really?
Like, I was watching Fat Boss, and they were talking about this fight. They were saying we cannot get any consistent like attempts on this boss because he kept bugging out.
You'd think that'd be a thing that they fix.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You'd hope they would. So
they're just really dropping the ball.
They should have hot fixed it by now, so it should be fine now. So the way this fight works, and it's kind of cool. You again have to split your raid up between two boats, and there's 2 Tide Priests on each boat. And you have to get them down and kill them off because the longer they're up, I believe, the more energy they send to the big boss that you have to fight. Lemuria, I think is his name.
There's still a faction switch going on right now, right?
Yeah, so the last 3 bosses, Alliance has now become Horde. So Horde is back to who they were, Alliance has now become Horde. So because this is the Stormwall Blockade. So you have to send your raiders off to the different boats, and like there's all kinds of crazy shit going on the boats. On the one that I was on with Brother Joseph, there were like, you had to run these little like pools out away from the raid. They were like frost pools, but they can actually be used to your advantage because what he does is he calls a siren. And the siren will call to a player in the raid group that's on that boat, and they will pull them to the edge of the boat until, if like basically they're not killed, the siren's not killed before that player reaches the edge, they'll fall off and die. But you can use those pools to slow you down. Only thing that sucks is they do a lot of damage. So if you're the one who's like being tempted and you're having to go through those pools, make sure that like your healer knows to heal you up. That hey, this person's gonna be taking a lot of damage, because in addition to the pool itself, the siren does a damage to you while she's pulling you in. So you want to get those things down as soon as possible. And then on and he does like this little shield on himself, and you have to burn off the shield and then interrupt his cast. If you don't, the big boss is going to get a lot of energy. And I'll touch on like why that's a big deal here in a minute. So on the other ship, you've got Sister Catherine, and she's got like these voltage lines running across in different patterns on her boat, so you have to dodge them because they hurt. And then she does like this little swirly storm. If you're within a certain area of it, it's gonna stun you. And like the further away you are from it, the shorter the time period lasts that you're silenced or stunned. So finally you kill them off. Oh, and on Heroic there's another little twist. That when any one of them hits 50%, they teleport to the other boat. Like the bosses switch up the other boat. So you have to know how both bosses work on Heroic. So, and even when you kill them on normal, you have to kill them within 2 seconds of each other, because if you don't, the spirit of the dead one will continue to channel energy at a fast rate into the big boss. So now you have, in Heroic, they have to reach 50% around the same time. They'll switch boats, and you still have to kill them within the same, like about 2 seconds of each other. And then you click on these little pedestals. And you teleport back to the, you know where the boats are and everything on the Dazar'alor port? Mm-hmm. So that's actually, you're fighting at the end of the port.
Oh, okay.
So that's where this fight takes place.
That helps me visualize.
So like the boats are off, like they're off in the port, like on the water, and you like you fly a pterodactyl over to them, and then you teleport back over. So you're fighting this guy at the end of this dock, and it's like Lemonaria or something like that, and he's like this big amalgam of like kelp and like tidal force and everything. Like I said, he was like really overtuned on ours.
So he looks like Swamp Ass Thing.
Yeah, pretty much. He looks like Swamp Thing and like a Frost Elemental had a baby.
Oh, wait, I forgot that Swamp Ass Thing was an Impractical Joker's thing
I
and not
mean,
like
you're
a
not
real
wrong.
thing.
He does look like Swamp Ass Thing. So, the problem we were having with him was that every time we would go over to fight him, like, we would get him down pretty well, and then he would, like, start summoning these elementals, and they're not paced the right way. They would bug out to where they would, like, you would run back to drop off the this debuff. And when you did, so you use it very consciously. When you get the debuff, you run around and you clear off all, like, the stuff he lays on the ground. Because he does, like, these swirls on the ground. You need to clear them out because melee is going to run out of space. Range is going to run out of space. Tanks are going to run out of space. So you have to run around and clear it, and then when it's about to fall off, you run back, like, further down the port, like, back toward the city proper, and you drop it off, and then elemental spawns.
So, have you guys gotten past this guy yet?
No.
Or
No, like, that's how bad this was. Like, we never downed him.
so how are you gonna cover the last?
Well, I'm just
bosses?
gonna mention that that's who's next.
All right.
But so we went in there and did this fight, and we were just getting overwhelmed with elementals. So the tanks get a debuff, and it's like this kelp debuff, and when it falls off, it like does an AoE radius thing to whatever it hits, it takes damage. So if it gets hit players, they take 10% increased damage. On non-players, like the elementals that spawn, they can actually, however many stacks the tank had when the debuff falls off, like if a healer cleanses it off, then that's how many stacks the elemental has. So if you have a tank that's taking a lot of stacks, like they have like 8 or 9 stacks, they go and drop that on the elemental. The elemental's taking 80-90% increased damage, and they're gonna, like, the range is just gonna blow them up. I think that might have been part of our issue too, is that we weren't like taking high enough stacks out to them. But the physical damage he did to the tanks was still overtuned for what it was.
I totally want to make a meme out of this boss. I seriously just want it to be a meme of like, and the ads start coming and they don't stop coming.
Put a big L in the shape of his forehead, or shape of an L on his forehead, like right in the middle of the boss for Lemonaria, right? So he on Heroic, you can control the flow of how the ads come out, because instead of basically an ad dying and then the debuff popping onto someone else, you control who gets the debuff. Because when the ad dies, an orb falls down, and whoever collects the orb runs around and clears, and then as soon as their debuff falls off, like, basically another ad comes up, get the orb, run around. So, basically whoever picks up the orb is the one that spawns the ad later on. So the first ad just gets spawned, and then after you kill him, you clear out the stuff. So I think that that's a lot better way to do this fight, like, logistically, because you can control who's clearing it. Like, you can't control who gets the debuff in normal. But in Heroic, you're like, hey, Hunter, you're highly mobile. Go get this orb, clear the stuff, run to the back, because you're a very fast class. Like, you're a very, very, very fast, like, high mobility class. But yeah, that's, like, we were getting him down. It's just that when too many ads reach him, they channel a spell on him. And it increases his energy. When he hits 100 energy, he does the spell, and it wipes the raid.
So, he's Shaggy.
Yeah, basically. He just, like, he just decimates us.
I feel bad for anyone who's not going to get that meme.
So, the final boss of the raid is Jaina. And because we didn't take Stormwall down, we didn't get to her. So, what I was hearing, though, is that she's significantly easier than him on his overtuned state. Like, people that downed him, it was just a cakewalk to kill her.
Or kill.
Well, yeah, so you don't
quotes.
really kill her. You injure her. Yeah. But, basically, I feel like that was really the only fight in the raid that we really had a challenge with. Like, Conclave, once we figured out the rhythm, we were good. But like everything else, like seems pretty fine for normal. If you're coming out in like heroic gear, now I don't really advise people who are in primarily normal old year gear to go into this. You want to have like around a mid 370, like 374, 372. You want to have around that item level because the first boss is kind of a damage check because you have to switch between the boss and the ads. And then basically you have to DPS the boss, and then when she switches her seal, you go in and you like nuke the ads, and you have to kill them fast. And then once they're down, you go back over to the boss and like fight, and it keeps going. Mm-hmm. So basically, if you're slow to take down either one, it's gonna like kind of hurt you in the raid. And there's a lot of like you kind of want the health pool too to go with it. And it's just a thing to where like you're gonna have like some nice DPS in here. I want to say like everyone going into this is gonna want to be able to push out like at least 12k DPS. Like at minimum. I mean, we burned through it because like every one of us was putting out like, you know, around like 14, 15k, you know, at minimum. So that's the cat being weird over there.
No, the cat is asleep.
Oh. Anyways, basically we had that push in there to get her down. But like I said, don't feel bad if you're a raider and like your guild's like, hey, we want to try this because it's the new raid out and we want to give it a go. If you haven't cleared too much of heroic old year, you're gonna have a hard time in here because it is a gear jump. If you're coming from like having 355 trying to go up to 385 content, that's a 30 item level disparity. Like your tank's gonna have a hard time. They're gonna be getting popped pretty hard. Your DPS is gonna have a hard time like with pulling the numbers, and then your healers are gonna be struggling because the tanks are getting hit so hard, and the DPS too is not killing things at a rate which would be good for taking the content down. But yeah, that's kind of my sum up of like my Dazar'alor experience. I really like the raid. I'm looking forward to like popping in again this week and like killing it.
Well, I'm sure the listeners had just as much fun listening as I did. I learned a lot because I haven't run the raids yet or anything. Mm-hmm. So we've got a little bit of time left here, so I figured that we could cover what we tried to cover in the last video, or not video, but podcast, and talk about maybe some of our favorite voice actors from the game.
Okay. So, someone who actually is voice acting in this raid, Laura Bailey. She plays everyone's favorite frost mage, Jaina.
But, like, the game would not be where it is without the fantastic voice actors that make up their characters.
Right, like, if someone like Laura Bailey hadn't voiced Jaina, she wouldn't have this commanding aura about her.
Or, like, Liam O'Brien.
Yeah, as Illidan. Like, if Illidan sounded puny, you'd be like, I don't want to follow you.
Sometimes the hand of fate must be forced.
Yeah, it's like, sometimes the hand of fate must be forced, guys. Let's get in there and go do it. No, like, you have, like I said, Laura Bailey. She does a lot of, she does stuff in, like, Avengers Assemble. She does Black Widow. And you can, like, tell. It's like, oh, that's Laura Bailey.
I can do you one better.
What's up?
My destiny is my own.
For Illidan. But yeah, Liam O'Brien. So Liam O'Brien also does stuff in Avengers Assemble as well. He voices Doctor Strange.
Oh, yeah, nice.
So he's got, like, this mysterious aura about him. It's like, I am the Sorcerer Supreme.
His fate is his own, too.
Yeah, he actually, like, I was watching it, and I didn't make the click in my brain that that was Illidan. So,
vocal diversity, man.
Right? So, Patrick Seitz is another one, and Patrick Seitz... Oh, no, sorry, this is not who I thought it was. So, Patrick Seitz voices Arthas and Garrosh. Now, I'm not talking about, like, Lich King Arthas. I'm talking about, like, Prince Arthas. As he was
regal.
Yeah, very regal, very formal.
So I think a different guy voices Lich King Arthas.
So, Patrick Seitz also voicing Garrosh. And he's just, like, got this...
Yet another voice that you don't want to be puny.
Yeah, like, you have to have, like, this fury to you to play an orc. Because, like, they're Blood and Thunder, Dazar'alor, Victory or Death. They're
Man, you've got to have some vocal versatility to play a regal prince and then turn around and play an orc.
Yeah.
Like a really rustic orc.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So then we have like Michael McConaughey, who does Lich King and Deathwing. And like and I know that they've done like voice modulation because like Deathwing's voice is very like raspy and just.
So Lich King being both of the Lich Kings.
Yeah, but I think that he does both of them because him wearing the helm actually is what like alters his voice. And a way you can think about that too is that like the spirit of Merzul is in the helm.
So you could really say that he doesn't really, I guess, voice the Lich King, but rather what possesses the armor.
Yeah, he basically voices the Helm of Command. Or Helm of Domination is what that's called, not Helm of Command.
So hot.
So the next person is Travis Willingham. So he voices Turalyon. And funny enough, he's married to Laura Bailey.
Don't really see how that's
funny I just thought it was interesting, like, because they actually met doing voice acting.
And, they're not, like, are they together in game too? Like, Turalyon and Jaina?
No. Turalyon's, like, way older than
But
Jaina.
who is he with?
Illyria.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's with Illyria. They have a kid, funny enough.
Turalyon is, I'm not even going to get into...
More like Dad Rallion, right? Is that what you're saying over there?
Look, man, I don't know who I want to call Daddy more, him or Khadgar.
Now, I'm thinking that Travis Willingham was, I think I put that for him. That he voices Thor.
Yes.
Okay, so because Troy Baker doesn't voice Thor. So, Travis Willingham, I believe he voices Thor in Avengers Assemble. And, like, he's got this, like, it is him. Because you can hear the very commanding, like, holy, like...
I am a god.
I'm a god, basically. Yeah, you can hear it in, like, Turalyon's voice. And he's got this commanding presence that, like, you need to have as someone like the God of Thunder. You need to have that.
Yeah, because, like, with Turalyon, I guess the way you could see it to draw a parallel is he's got the light flowing through him.
Yeah, he actually... So, I'm sure you've noticed that when you, like, encountered him, that half of his sword is made of light. So, the reason why that is because it was actually another person's sword. I forget who. Like, I'm rusty on this part of my lore. It was a broken sword, and he basically channeled the power of the light into that sword and killed Blackhand.
But when I say he's got the power of the light flowing through him, I mean very literally. For those who saw Rejection of the Gift, the cinematic where Illidan kills Zira, whenever he does, if you pay attention, you can see a very noticeable change
in his eyes, because like the light drains out of his eyes.
That's what I mean. He's quite literally got the power of the light flowing through him.
It's like, although in his case, it's a bit of like fanaticism falling out of his eyes, because like they're very fanatical.
Well, yeah, but I think it's both literal and metaphorical. That like he drew a lot of his confidence, his power, his very fiber of his being from the light.
Yeah.
And that's why I can draw the comparison to also sounding like someone like Thor, because...
harnessing the Odin force and everything like that.
Yeah.
Channeling all that power through his hammer. Alright, so the next person is Troy Baker. And,
he does not look like he should.
He does not look the guy you would expect him voicing. He voices Gul'dan.
Like, you see his picture and you're just like, are you serious?
Like, I know that they do a lot of voice modulation and everything like that,
okay, but you've still got to have it in your voice.
You've got to, there's got to be the bass voice there to do that.
Like, we were looking through the list of voice actors just to, like, make sure that we got everyone down, and we came across him and who he voiced, and... it was surprising.
A lot of these people do, like, a lot of cartoon voice acting, and so, but, like, action cartoons. And they have, like, these really, really, like, versatile roles. And they're just really, like, like I said, Laura Bailey, for example, voices Black Widow.
If Sammy were a WoW character, who do you think she would be?
She'd be Kimball, the Loa, like, the Tiger Loa.
Sorry.
That's what she looks like over there.
She did a really cute, elegant thing, and...
But yeah, so Laura Bailey, back on her, like, she has a very sensual quality about her voice, and for someone like Black Widow, when she voices her, it really comes out because that's part of her allure as a hero, is that she uses that manipulation on weak-willed and stupid men, basically.
So, almost every man.
Yeah,
like
basically.
Don't come for me. I said almost.
But like basically men who are
her
swayed by that.
singing voice.
Yeah.
Like really strikes a chord in me. Like I brought this up last time we tried to record this, but listening to the live version of Daughter of the Sea is haunting but gorgeous.
Yeah. And she like she herself is very beautiful, and like Laura Bailey, if you're listening to this, and Travis Willingham, if you're listening to this, you guys are both awesome. We love you both.
Not that they're gonna ever probably watch us at all, but
tag her on Twitter.
Could I? You think she would listen to it?
She might. She might actually.
It's like, hey, we discussed voice acting.
It's like we talked about you and your husband, but no, like she like has this very like, and they've actually I think modeled Jaina, her new look, after her a little bit.
It wouldn't be the first time that something like that's happened. Like whenever somebody becomes so iconic in their role and they get a remodel, they're very often modeled to look like their voice actors.
Yeah, because like, and this is not to be against Blizzard, but like when they first had Jaina in the game, she just looked very
indistinct.
Not really indistinct, very pathetic. For the power, granted, she hadn't really tapped into all her power, but like, for the power that she was capable of harnessing.
I think that was the point.
Yeah.
Like, because she started as this really delicate, like, you know, kind of
not really
sweet,
mousy.
I was going to say sweet, mousy kind of person, like, and then she just went through so much heartbreak, so much
stuff over the course of a short period of time because
that has hardened her. She's
realized
her
being
potential.
Killed. She basically like now her father kind of was hard-headed and was determined to do this anyways.
But the big thing here is the fact that she blames herself.
Yeah, she blamed herself. She tried to stop him, and you can now hear that sorrow and hardness in her voice, like
especially after what happened with her mom. I know her and her mother have like now made up.
Yeah.
But you could tell that interaction just further broke her heart.
Yeah, and it's a thing to where too that like all the visions she saw, like Arthas, for example, like that really tore her because they were a thing. They were.
She loved him with everything.
She loved him, and like she, you know, and there's like AUs out there where it shows like Jaina picking up Frostmourne instead of him, and I think it's the kind of thing to where, you know, Arthas was definitely destined for that destiny.
But so, like, Jaina blames herself for everything.
She blames herself for not stopping him at the gates of Stratholme.
She also blames herself for not stopping her father. Like almost everything that has happened to her, she feels like she caused. Like she could have done something about it. Yeah. And Laura Bailey does really, really phenomenal with conveying that feeling.
She really gets phenomenal for characters who are tormented by their dark past, basically. Like Black Widow, for example.
Like, this is what I mean by, like, without a really great voice actor for the role that they're playing, the game would be nothing.
Yeah. So I think that's a really good segue into the next guy. Now, this guy, you've seen him at BlizzCon. He has been a huge part of not just the World of Warcraft, but, like, Warcraft itself. And, like, Blizzard itself. Like, Chris Metzen is a, you know, if you look back at the old, like, CD books and game books from Warcraft 1, Warcraft 2, and Warcraft 3, and you flip through them, you'll see, like pen-drawn, hand-drawn art, and you'll see his signature there. So he did creating the storyline, he did storyboarding, he, like, created the characters, and he voices Thrall.
His voice acting aside, without him, the game would be nothing like it is now. Because he is such a huge part of the game.
You can't have someone like Thrall, and we talk about like the voice actors like really having to have that edge.
And he's got it.
His natural speaking voice is very gruff and very deep. And of course, you know, back when he would get on stage at BlizzCon and stuff like that, he would be like, "For the Horde," and he would do it in his best Thrall orc voice. And it's like I think maybe eventually we're gonna see Thrall come back into the game. He's been he's been AFK for a while raising kids.
I think Metzen just kind of took a step back to, I guess, take a more creative output and stance on everything, or is he just kind of...
He stepped back from the design aspect and everything. He still does the voice acting, because he still does a couple of characters in the game. And, like, they're not just, like, sound bits of him. He actually still voices some characters in the game. Off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you who.
Okay, I was just about to ask.
So, the next guy on the list is another one of those people with a really, like, deep voice, who's well known for his deep voice.
I mean, also a really versatile voice.
Yeah.
It
disturbs me.
Brought to you by the same person who voices Cleveland Jr., the principal from American Dad, Kevin Michael Richardson.
And he voices Trigon in
Yes.
Teen Titans. And, like, I'm not talking about the bullshit Teen Titans Go. I'm talking about the original...
Everyone's favorite interdimensional demon.
He voices both of them, but, like, to get the real edge of him, like, listen to that one. Like,
oh, yeah.
A lot of times he voices people that look like him in real life.
Yeah.
Like, Principal Lewis actually looks like Kevin Michael Richardson. Like, in American Dad, he looks just like Kevin Michael Richardson. He tends to voice characters who are very much like him. Like, he'll voice, like, a big, heavyset black man.
Yeah.
And, like, because you don't expect, like, Principal Lewis, he's a big black guy. You don't expect him to have, like, a tiny voice.
And so, everyone's favorite POC-coded, orc?
Mm-hmm.
Grom.
Yeah, he voices Grom Hellscream. And, you know, that's another, like, really, really deep voice orc. Like, if you watch the movie-type cinematic they had for Warlords, and you have, like, Grom's voiceover on it, that is all Kevin Michael Richardson.
It's like, you wouldn't expect for him to voice Cleveland Jr.
Yeah, a very high-pitched fat kid.
But, like, every now and again he does his deep voice thing, like, whenever he marries
the Latina.
And, like, she brings up cookies in bed or whatever.
He's like, yeah. He gets all excited. He's like, yeah.
But, like, another example of vocal versatility.
Yeah.
Like...
And, you know, nearly every one of these voice actors has that. So, I want to bring up, too, like, I don't remember his name off the top of my head, but the guy that voices Vol'jin looks like the guy you would probably expect to voice Vol'jin, okay? Like, he's got these just awesome dreads, and he looks Jamaican. And it's like, you look at him and you're like, okay, that's the guy that voices Vol'jin.
So, to still be in the Blizzard universe, just taking the attention away from World of Warcraft for just a second, my favorite voice actor ever is Steve Blum. And I know he does Diablo stuff.
He was, like, Zoltan Cool, I think is who. And I think he's done some random voices in WoW as well.
I'm more than sure that I've heard him in WoW, but if anybody wants to correct me, or if he has done stuff in WoW and you want to help me out here, then I would greatly appreciate it, because he is my favorite ever, and I want new characters to fall in love with, so...
I wonder, too, it would be really funny if they ever decided to, like, talk to Tom Kenny and be like, hey... Now, I think he's done random voices in there.
Dude,
maybe.
I want him to be a gnome, and I want his name to be Squanchy.
No, even better. He'd be like a gnome, but his name would be like Bob. And so he'd be like, Patrick! And he would just do the obnoxious SpongeBob voice.
No. He's gotta be something that's gonna be near the sea, and he's gotta have a squid friend that he constantly annoys.
What if he's like... What if they actually have him voice one of the bosses in the Crucible of the Storms? And so he's talking to N'Zoth, and he's like...
Look, no. He's gotta have a twin part. One where he sounds like SpongeBob, and then one where he sounds like the robot from Final Space.
Yeah. Like, you want... That's vocal versatility.
Oh, yeah.
That is terrifying vocal versatility.
And what's even more terrifying is that robot is his natural speaking voice.
Yeah, like, that's it. Like, if he didn't put any inflection in his voice, that's his natural tone. That's his... If he's monotoned...
Kind of hot.
Like, he basically is like, you feel like doom is coming to you.
Not even so much doom, but like you oddly accept death at that point.
Yeah.
It's just like I could die right now, and Tom Kenny could deliver my last words that I ever hear, and I'd be okay with it.
But yeah, I found it to be a very, very haunting voice.
It was an awesome voice.
Like, it was just absolutely terrifying.
But if you've got any, favorite voice actors from just general Blizzard universe, I'm not gonna limit it to WoW.
Yeah, like I want to say.
Because I'm pretty sure that there are some great Overwatch voices too.
Overwatch, StarCraft, like the guy that voices Raynor, the guy that voices Kerrigan.
Also, if you guys want us to cover anything else from the Blizzard universe, whether it be StarCraft or
Diablo,
we'd
be hard pressed to cover anything from Overwatch because I don't really have access to Overwatch.
Same, but those other two things I won't be able to weigh in as much, but I would be really happy to join in the conversation.
Might learn a little bit from it.
Yeah, I would actually be really open to playing those things here pretty soon or whatever, so we could do something about that. So we take a WoW break,
Yeah.
Because we're gonna be hard pressed to find things to talk about every week.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna try and keep a more consistent schedule. I've been getting sick lately, and we've been working our butts off lately because we're both working now.
Yeah. We had to wake up at 8 o'clock in the morning the other day.
No, we had to wake up at 6:30 in the morning the other day.
Oh yeah, so that was kind of rough.
But so I'm thinking uploads around Tuesday are fine. That way we have kind of a grace period.
That kind of works with like server resets and everything like that too.
Yeah. So please bear with us while we get everything solidified. I am also just an update on the Etsy situation. I am trying to get in the works of having a separate Etsy straight up just for our merchandise. I'm not going to overwhelm it with like different kinds of merch. For now, I'm just going to stick with the mugs and maybe some like
shirts.
hoodies.
Or hoodies.
Well, I'm going to do hoodies for now because it's winter time.
Yeah, that's fair. And
then once it starts to warm back up, I'll pull the hoodies and start with like maybe some shirts or whatever. But yeah, that's all we have for this week. I'll drop any links that we have below.
And tell you what, guys, I started getting into heroic, and we go in to kill Jaina. I'm gonna tell about my experience in that. I'm talk about my experience in the heroic version of the raid.
Oh yeah, so definitely look forward to that coming up.
Because Mythic does open next week too, so we're really gonna be pushing to start doing that too. So that's gonna be a whole different beast.
Yeah. So in the comments below, tell me about your experiences, and see you next week.
Yep.